Welcome to the CT Educator podcast. I am your host, Karina Hogan. I am a registered CT technologist with 20 years of experience and knowledge. I help new CT technologists level up their CT training so that you can become a successful technologist. I'm also a mom and committed to sharing my knowledge and expertise to help you build your confidence, know the CT basics so that you can deliver quality patient care. So let's get into it. Hello. Welcome back, technologists. Welcome back to the podcast. So another exciting week. I feel like October is just flying by and Christmas is going to be here before we know it. So definitely still very unseasonably warm here in Chicago. Very much of a shocker. I don't know. Mother Nature seems to be doing their own thing, if you know what I mean, right? So just wanted to make sure you guys are starting your week off really good. So if you haven't checked out my stories on Instagram, I started talking about participating in something called the Winter Arc. Now, forgive me, I'm a Generation Xer and I'm not too familiar with these things. Because I know I made it a goal on January 1. I actually started October of last year of what goals I wanted for 2024. One of them was to be more physically fit, have more muscle on my body, and to just get back to a healthier lifestyle. Because I have moved away from that due to divorce and I'm raising special needs kids and just stress and just anxiety and depression when it comes to all those factors. So those were my goals because I usually start working on things that I want to accomplish at least 3 months ahead of time. So this came up on my TikTok feed and I was really interested in it. So I decided to go down the rabbit hole of this. And it is tailored around fitness. Yes, of course, because that's where the concept came from. But it doesn't necessarily have to be about fitness if that is not your thing. It's the last 3 months where you push yourself to just really be disciplined. It's not so much about motivation. It's more about discipline, where you push yourself to really reach the goals that you set at the beginning of the year. So for me, fitness is a big thing because I want more muscle on my body. I need to be strong for my kids and just to be around and be a healthier mom. So I've incorporated that plus, you can accomplish 3 to 4 goals or maybe just a couple goals depending on what it is that you want to accomplish for the year and hit it hard, right? So what I've done is like a couple of my goals, well, I will share with you guys, is I want to get back down to 145 pounds. So when I started really getting back into my fitness journey, I was 168 pounds. That was due to divorce, depression, all that stuff, and just shitty mindset, right? So I am 156 pounds now. So I'm 11 pounds away from hitting that goal. And this next 3 months is really going to I'm going to hammer it down. I'm going to grind and I'm going to get it done. Okay. And I'm also doing a lot of inner work because what I'm starting to notice is that I'm in a different season of my life, in a different chapter of my life. And a lot of things that I have suppressed over the years have really come back and surfaced not only in, my day-to-day life when it comes to different types of relationships with people and even in my business where I need to really tackle and do more work. So those are kind of some of the things that I'm working on. So if you get a chance, make sure you research the Winter Arc. I'm so excited, and make sure you follow me on Instagram because I'm going to be posting my progress on there, especially with all the CT content that I put there. And I will be sharing more of it on the podcast. All right. And as always, if you need to be the go-to CT tech, I have awesome courses that I teach. Plus, I have an awesome coaching and mentorship program that you can come with me, come into my container for 6 months. I will coach you. I will mentor you to be the go-to CT tech and be an awesome technologist on that floor. You get not only live classes, but you also get a course portal with tons of videos, tons of downloads, how-to videos, you name it, I'm doing it. So if you get in the program, you will get a special founding members price. Okay. It's $5,500 and you come into my container with 6 months with me, right? So it's an awesome program and I teach all my skills and all my knowledge so you can be the go-to CT tech. Okay. We do offer payment plans, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay. If you want to pay in full, that's good. If you want to use Klarna or Affirm, got you covered and got payment plans for that. So if you're interested, there is an application link in the show notes. Make sure you fill out the application so we can have a conversation. Make sure you're a good fit for the program. I tailor my coaching and mentorship program for techs who have 0 to 3 years of experience and really need to hone in on their skills and elevate their skills so they can be the best tech possible. Also, if you are not ready for that type of program, I also have a lower program where in 90 days, we get you learning the basics, get you registry ready so you can sit there for the test and study. And we just make sure that we break down all the skills, all the one-on-one skills for you to just master and elevate yourself as a CT tech on that floor. I specifically designed that specific program for techs that are cross-training, techs that are new, like students that are coming into the CT department. So if that is you, make sure you click the link, go sign up for that program. Okay. So all the links will be in my show notes. So make sure you guys check all that stuff out. Okay. I also do offer courses. I offer a one-on-one course for CE credits. Make sure you check that out. Link is in the show notes. Okay. So let's dive into today's episode. So in today's episode, I want to talk about being a pro behind the console and how to excel in CT as a new or as an experienced technologist. So we're going to kind of hit it from both ends, okay? Because no technologist is excluded here. So we know in CT, we have tons of protocols, we have tons of exams that are done on a routine basis. So it's basically just all the things that we do. And some of those exams are very complex. And there are some exams that it could be 3 to 6 months and we're like, oh, well, here's that exam that pops up. You know, if it's not something that's routinely done in your facility. Okay. So if you're a new technologist, you're starting your training in CT and looking at all these protocols, you know, on the screen can be very overwhelming. If you open up a protocol book and you see pages and pages and pages on how these protocols are laid out, that can be fucking overwhelming for you. I know when I started out 21 years ago, and I remember just looking at all these protocols and looking at a protocol book, and I go, how the fuck am I going to learn all this stuff? Because it was overwhelming. It was just very challenging, and my brain couldn't handle all that, especially being a new technologist cross-training from X-ray to CT. Okay. So because that's overwhelming and it's unfamiliar and it's just uncharted waters, you feel like a little fish in a big ass pond with all these other fishes, right? So I'm going to give you some practical steps that I took as a new technologist, and I'm going to share that with you on this episode. Okay. So when you're getting familiar with the basics and you're getting familiar with as we call it, the meat and potatoes of scanning, there are certain exams that you need to get good at when you are a beginner. Okay. Now, if you're experienced, you should have this mastered no matter what. If you haven't, you need to master it. Okay. So I'm going to give you 3 exams that I went ahead and mastered so I can be at the tip top of my game, scanning and caring for patients and just doing what I do best. Okay. So the very first exam that I think you should start out and you should master is a simple CT of the head with no contrast. This is the easiest exam to do, and it's the most commonly ordered exam out there all over the country. Not only over the US, all over the country. Okay? I think that's where you need to start. You have to get familiar how to execute this exam. Now, if you have a CT scanner that does tilt, you make sure that you tilt, you use your head holder and your ISO centering. Okay. It's the easiest exam to execute and to get right. That is where you need to start. That is my number one thing that I started with is heads, no contrast. Making sure the patient's in the head holder, make sure you ISO center to the OM, making sure that you tilt that gantry, 10, 15, 20 degrees, however far it will let you tilt. Make sure you do that so that you get the proper optimized exam and the quality of your exam. That is where you need to start. Okay. That's how you execute that exam properly. The second exam that I mastered, and as a new technologist, you need to master it. And experienced technologists, you guys better master this shit, is a PE study. It is the second most commonly ordered exams when a patient comes in with shortness of breath. Okay. D-dimer is high. There's leg pain and the ultrasound is positive or it's negative, whatever the case is. Okay. Get familiar on how contrast is given because that is an important piece. Get familiar with the timing and how to set this up. Okay. You've got your bolus tracking, your smart prep, your sure start, whatever scanner that you're using, make sure you get familiar with it. The amount of contrast you're supposed to give, the timing, when you're supposed to hit your injector and the scanner at the same time, all those things. You have to make sure that you master all those things. Okay. The third and the last exam that I think this is the bulk of what you need to be learning is a CT abdomen and pelvis, either with contrast or without contrast. Now, the with contrast is the third most ordered exam. Well, actually, whether it's with or without. Okay. It is so common because patients come in with abdominal pain, possible appendicitis, bowel obstruction. This exam is always ordered no matter what. If there is a UTI, especially on elderly patients, know the difference when oral contrast is needed or when it's just a simple IV only contrast given exam, because there's a difference. Now, I know that some facilities have started steering away from giving oral contrast for specific exams, but the orders that you get should specify. If not, then a radiologist should be protocoling all this. Okay. So make sure you know the difference. Make sure you know how to set it up. Make sure the patient can hold their breath. Make sure that they can put their arms above their head if it's possible. Okay. That's not always the case, but you need to get familiar on how much oral contrast the patient is supposed to drink, how much IV contrast should be given, when it should be given, timing, and all those things. Okay. These are all the concepts that I go into in my coaching program, and I dive deep into this when it comes to exams and protocols. Okay. Now, as an experienced technologist, we tend to get lazy when it comes to proper positioning and the quality of exams. I know that's going to trigger some of you. Okay. But it is 1,000% true. And I need you to remember centering is very important. It's very important. Okay. And especially if you're a new technologist working alongside a seasoned technologist, somebody who's experienced, who has skin in the game and has been there for a long time and has done this job a long time. Their quality of exams should be tip top. Their patient centering should be tip top. And they should be able to answer all your questions when it comes to knowing the why behind the scan and how to think outside the box when we get complex patients. The patients that are not ideal, they can't walk, they're contracted. Okay. So what I've seen through my years of experience, I've seen seasoned techs that get very lazy when it comes to positioning. They get very lazy when it comes to quality of exams. That's not going to fly. Okay. We need to do better because we have the younger generation coming into our field and we need to teach them properly. We can't be lax and lazy about it and say, this is how we always done it. I can't tell you how much I hate that fucking statement. That statement grinds my gears. No, because there are better ways of doing it. So the last tip that I'm going to give you, and this is what I did during my early years of training when I was a brand new technologist, is make sure that you have a notebook that you can write things down. Okay. I want you to ask lots of questions because your brain isn't going to be able to remember everything there is to know about CT. And don't ever let somebody make you feel bad for going ahead and writing things down. Okay. So there should be no shame there whatsoever. Make sure you have a notebook. Make sure you write things down. If you have to write all the protocols and all the steps on how to execute a CT of the head without contrast, then you do that until you master it. Do it. That's what I did. If you need to know, okay, I need to give this much contrast for this type of exam, write it down. There is no harm and no wrong way to do it. If you write it down, you'll remember it. You can't remember 150 plus protocols in your brain. So, my advice to you is make sure you have a notebook, ask questions on why behind the exams, learn how to think outside the box because not every patient is ideal. Okay. And if you have to do a step by step on your notebook, hey, that's what you got to do until you master it. Okay. So that is some pointers on how I went ahead and navigated through CT. I learned the core exams that need to be learned. Okay. Those are my three top. I know there are more, but those are my three top core exams that I think every brand new technologist needs to master. Okay. So I hope this was super helpful. And if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me at contact@thecteducator.com. Make sure you check out the show notes. So if you're interested in the program, apply. And I have a lower level program where in 90 days, we get you, register ready and you will nail the freaking basics. Okay. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode and I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you would like to share your CT experience, have an interesting story to share, or need help in your CT training, please email me your questions at contact@thecteducator.com. Follow along on Instagram at the CT Educator, also on Facebook at the CT Educator. Don't forget to like, share, leave a 5-star review, as this will help support the show and it'll reach all of you that need guidance. Thank you for listening and happy scanning.